husband on both military and political matters. At one point in the film, a Persian messenger insults the queen after she offers her input during a political discussion. The Persian felt that the queen, a woman, should not speak on such matters. The film's depiction of the role of Spartan women is accurate. The relative freedom and empowerment of their women helped to further set the Spartans apart from other cultures. The empowerment of Spartan women could be compared to the freedoms of modern-day American women versus the restricted roles of many present-day Middle Eastern women. Question: did Queen Gorgo really kill council member Theron? No, this is an element of fiction added by the filmmakers to enhance the role of the queen in the storyline. In an Entertainment Weekly interview, author of 300 Frank Miller stated his opposition to this alteration of his graphic novel. At first, I very much disagreed with it. My main comment was, this is a boys' movie, let it be that. The story itself, in historical terms, really didn't involve her all that much, from most accounts. But Zach had his reasons. He wanted to show that King Leonidas was fighting for something, by giving him a romantic aspect and by lingering in Sparta a little bit. In reality, Queen Gorgo's husband, King Leonidas, was her half-uncle. Leonidas and Gorgo's father, Cleomenes, were paternal half-brothers. Question: Did Queen Gorgo really have an active role in the Spartan political arena? Yes. Greek historian Herodotus mentions her several times in his writings. When she was only 8 or 9 years old, she advises her father not to trust Aristagoras. "Father, you had better go away, or the stranger will corrupt you." Cleomenes follows her advice. She makes a second appearance in Herodotus's histories when a message from Demaratos reaches Sparta. When the message reached its destination, no one was able to guess the secret until, as I understand, Cleomenes' daughter Gorgo, who was the wife of Leonidas, divined it and told the others that if they scraped the wax off, they would find something written on the wood underneath. This was done. The message was revealed and read, and afterwards passed on to the other Greeks. Perhaps most recognizable from the movie 300 are Queen Gorgo's quotes that appeared in the Greek historian Plutarch's writings. When asked by a woman from Attica, "Why are you Spartan women the only ones who can rule men?" she said, "Because we are also the only ones who give birth to men." On her husband Leonidas' departure from Thermopylae, while encouraging him to show himself worthy of Sparta, she asked what she should do. He said, "Marry a good man and bear good children." Question: did King Leonidas really utter catchphrases like, "Tonight we dine in hell"? Yes, at least that's what 300 Spartans history tells us. The catchphrases that fill the movie were taken from the writings of the Greek historians Herodotus recycled this phrase. It is also the emblem of the Greek First Army Corps. The "We shall fight in the shade" line from the movie is based on a phrase that a Spartan soldier named Dionysius uttered after he was informed that the Persian arrows would be so numerous as to blot out the sun. Question: were the Spartans very different from other Greeks? Yes, the Spartans were much focused on war and preparing for it. This is emphasized in the movie 300 when King Leonidas asks several Arcadian soldiers to state their professions. Leonidas then turns to his own Spartan soldiers and asks them, "What is your profession, men?" They reply with a loud warrior cry, indicating that they are soldiers by trade. Question: who does Frank Miller see as being today's equivalent of Spartan soldiers? In an Entertainment Weekly interview, graphic novelist Frank Miller addressed this by saying, "The closest comparison you can draw in terms of our own military today is to think of the red-caped Spartans as being like our special ops forces. They're these almost superhuman characters with a tremendous warrior ethic who were unquestionably the best fighters in Greece." Question: is there a political message in director Zack Snyder's movie 300? The movie depicts a small group of European freedom fighters holding off a large army of Iranian slaves. Although people might draw comparisons to modern-day conflicts, Zack Snyder said that he did not intend to create the movie to be a commentary on current events. Someone asked me, "Is George Bush Leonidas or Xerxes?" I said, "That's an awesome question. The fact they asked tells me that this movie can mean one thing to one person and something totally different to another. I clearly didn't mean either. I was just trying to get Frank's book made into a movie." Question: why were Iranians upset about the movie 300? On Sunday, March 11, 2007, just 2 days after 300's U.S. release, Iran's Fars news agency reported that the Iranian government was not happy with the movie's depiction of their culture. Javad Qadri, an art advisor to President Mohammed Ahmadinejad, charged that the movie was part of a comprehensive U.S. psychological war aimed at Iranian culture, said the report. Shamkhadri was quoted as saying, "Following the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Hollywood and the cultural authorities in the U.S. initiated studies to figure out how to attack Iranian culture," adding, "Certainly the recent movie is a product of such studies. The movie's effort would be fruitless because values in Iranian culture and the Islamic Revolution are too strongly seated to be damaged by such plans," said the Iranian official. Question: why was the movie shot entirely on a soundstage? 300 director Zack Snyder answered this question during a Wired interview. "I wanted to get at the book as much as I could. Shooting outside, we couldn't control the skies and lighting to the extent I wanted to. And the landscapes are different than in real life. They don't exist in the real world, only in Frank Miller's imagination." Question: how do historians know so much about the Spartans and the Persians? A significant amount of what historians know can be traced back to a Dorian Greek historian named Herodotus, describes the Persian invasions of Greece in his collection of writings known as the Histories. His writings were scrutinized in ancient times for their accuracy, since Herodotus often reported multiple accounts of an event and then picked the one that he felt was most probable. Despite his critics, Herodotus is considered the father of history. In addition to Herodotus's histories, historians have also learned a lot about Spartans and the Persians from archaeological discoveries and various other writings. Some other facts that weren't covered in this little blurb were that Sparta had two kings, not one king. They always had two kings. So when Leonidas was killed, there was another king. And so there was never just one king in Sparta. That was their version of what we now call democracy. That's how they kept it in democracy. One king couldn't do what he pleased. There was always that balance. Another thing was that in the movie they show that Spartans didn't care about religion, and they badmouthed like the oracle and things to that nature. In reality, the Spartans were the most religious of all the Greek city-states, and so that was completely crazy. I mean, Spartans, when they were at war, there would be periods of time where they stopped the battles, went home, and celebrated their religious feasts, came back, and then battled again a month later, however long that particular feast would last. This would also be found in books such as Herodotus' histories, such like that. Another thing is that although a soldier from Sparta was allowed to marry when he was turned 18, he was not allowed to live with his wife until he was 25. He was also not allowed to visit her until he was allowed to live with her, even though they